All right, everybody, this is Brian again from Prison Social Network on Cody's channel, Ex-Con Cody. Shout out to Cody, for allowing me to kind of like talk about my experiences and talk about, what really goes on in prison, because there are a lot of misconceptions out there, people, about what really goes on. Everybody's, an advocate and everybody believes in this and that, and everything. But let me tell you something, prison is a fucked up place. You don't want to go there. Okay, this next topic is really, it's hard for me to talk about, man, because, but, it needs to be brought up. Cody's talked about it before on his channel, and, I'd like to talk about the American version over here of sex offenders, child molesters, chomos, pedophiles, whatever you choose to call them. Okay, in prison, they are the worst of the worst. Not criminal-wise, I mean, as far as, hardcore criminals or whatever, man, they're pieces of shit. That's what they are. These are individuals who, have raped, fondled, kidnapped, killed, whatever you want to imagine or whatever you want to call it, women, children, elderly, boys, men, I mean, whatever you want to talk about. But in the prison environment, they are the biggest pieces of shit that ever walked the planet. Okay, and we'll talk about this more that goes on to this. Okay, so there are so many sex offenders in prison that it will actually surprise you. Okay, like I've been to institutions before, prison institutions, where it's 50%, 60% of child molesters, rapists. Everybody has an excuse. Oh, I didn't do it. Here's what happened. Oh, the woman lied on me. And look, I don't care. You were convicted, okay? And I'm not sitting there saying that people haven't falsely been accused, because I've actually known quite a few people who were falsely accused, beat their case, got out and sued the hell out of the system. More power to you, because I wouldn't want that bone put on me in prison. Being a child molester in prison you're one of the lowest individuals, not only out here, but in prison, okay? And believe me, all these people who were like, sex offenders need to be treated. There is no treatment, folks, okay? Look, just use common sense, okay? If a man likes a woman, or a man likes a man, or a woman likes a man, or a woman likes a woman, or whatever, may be the case, okay, that people's sexual preference, you cannot change that, okay? Maybe you can adapt it, maybe you can do whatever and stuff, okay? But the bottom line is like this. If a dude gets off on little kids, that's a sexual preference. He's not going to change that preference. Okay, so there, what you're telling the man is, oh, okay, well, look, you like little kids, so go ahead, we're going to go ahead and teach you a few classes, and then you're going to be cured. That's a bunch of bullshit. I don't believe it for a minute, okay? I don't care what the stats are. Again, before people get upset, in some of these communities and stuff, I'm not talking about the people who were, were convicted and later on found not guilty or whatever, but it's very rare, okay? It's somebody else's word. And by the way, put it like this. What is a sex offender supposed to say in prison? Oh, yeah, by the way, I raped that little girl. Yeah, he's going to get fucked up. That's what's going to happen to him. He's going to get his ass beat. He's probably going to get killed. But, back to the topic of child molesters, rapists, chomos, whatever you want to call them, okay? That the majority of them don't own anything, because they're getting robbed every single day. They're getting their ass beat every single day. They're getting disrespected every day. They're getting fucked up. And, it's easy to find out. One of the misconceptions is, well, how do these people find out? It's called the internet, people. That's all you have to do is get on the phone. Hey, look so-and-so up, and your name's going to pop up, and you're it. And that's what it is. And so, a lot of people in America, over in these American prisons sit there and they talk about, oh, man, I didn't do it. Yeah, of course, man. Well, yeah, we all didn't do what we did, of course. Okay, so basically what it is they just picked you up off the street and accused you of doing something, okay? You weren't there, you didn't do anything, okay? I know there are people falsely accused, and as I said, that's understandable. False allegations, to me, are one of the worst things that going to prison and being innocent, That's a whole nother topic, okay? But as far as like child molesters, think about it like this, okay? I want people to really understand this, okay? What if that were your daughter? What if that were your son? What if that were your wife? What if that was your mother, your father, your grandmother, or whatever and stuff? And people are sitting here and giving these people free passes, man, for what they did. You violated somebody's trust, you violated somebody's innocence, and frankly, you're a monster. And that's what it comes down to. Look, people can justify it all they want, but, I had a roommate, okay, who was a child molester, okay? And, he told me, oh, man, I robbed this drug dealer, and that's why I'm in here. Well, I had somebody on the outside look him up and come to find out he raped an 11-year-old girl and made her 8-year-old sister watch. That's hard, man. I'm not even going to tell you what I did to him, but, it is what it is. And he had a smart-ass mouth, and I couldn't stand that, dude. It's like, dude, you're an effing child molester, and you're sitting here running your mouth, man, to somebody, man, who will beat your ass in a minute, man? Nah, dude, that's not going to happen. So, and he ran his mouth, and he knew it all about politics, and he knew everything about economics, and he knew everything, but he didn't know how to keep his you-know-what out of his pants with a young girl. It's sickening, it's disgusting, it's rampant. I think like this, there need to be harsher sentences because you can't curb somebody's sexual appetite, and that's what these people are, man. They're predators. They prey on people, and then they come into prison. You know what's really funny? Look. Here's what really kills me, okay, about a lot of sex offenders, okay? These dudes go in there, oh yeah, and yeah, you can go prey on a little kid, or you can go prey on some elderly woman or somebody's wife or whatever, but then when you get to prison, you're a straight bitch. That's what kills me. Like you're a predator on the street, but then you go to prison and you're a straight bitch, dude. And the majority of them are. The majority of them get in there and bitch up and oh, don't take my stuff and don't beat my ass. Well, wait a minute, dude. I mean, did that little child that you messed around with, did he or she have that opportunity? Nah, man. So, I look at it like this. It's rampant in America. And you can look it on there and, look at the stats and look at everything else, but it is disgusting in my opinion. Like I said, people are innocent, that's one thing, but the ones who did what they did, yeah, they need treatment. It's called a life sentence. That's what that's called, because they're going to get out and they're going to do the same thing. I don't care what the stats are. I don't care what they say. The bottom line is like this. They, need to be, matter of fact, and I would like to say this, they need to separate those individuals from general population. I'm going to tell you why. Why don't you stick all the sex offenders, stick them in one prison, stick you all off in one prison over here, okay, and keep you separated. That stops a lot of the violence towards them and stuff, and look, let them stick together, because no one likes doing time with a fucking child molester, especially not me. I can't stand that shit. Okay? I've got nieces and nephews and stuff like that, and, like I said, anybody touches them, you're gonna get it. I promise you that. So the bottom line is like this, they can justify it and stuff. It's rampant in America. And, you could look at some other channels too, and people are always talking about it. They're treated like shit. They get robbed, beaten, stabbed, murdered. I'm not sitting there saying that, that maybe all of that should happen to him and stuff like that. But the bottom line is like this. It's not going to be a joyride for anybody who commits a sexual act and then goes to prison. I promise you that. So for all you advocates out there, I understand where you're coming from and stuff, but you know what, man? You also have to take responsibility for what you did, and you have to, if you're guilty, guess what? Man up to what the fuck you did and sit there and say, look, this is what I did. I've got a problem, and you're going to pay the consequences for it. And if not, well, consequences are when somebody finds out what you did, it's adios time. I promise you that. You're going to get fucked up, and that's just the way it is. So, you know what? It's a rampant problem, but there are also ways that they can solve it. Stop putting sex offenders in with general population people. Put them off. Go treat them any way you want to. If you believe in treatment, well, guess what, man? Get them away from the population, because it's never going to end as far as the violence towards child molesters, sex offenders, rapists, people who, abuse women and sit there and beat them down and stuff. Guess what? If you do that kind of crap out there, expect it to happen to you in prison. I guarantee you that. Okay? So the bottom line is like this. We briefly talked about it. Frankly, the topic disgusts me. So many people make excuses for it and stuff, and you know what, man, it's just unrealistic. So on that note, look, I'm going to close because this topic disgusts me so much that I don't even want to talk about it. Cody, kudos to you and all that you're doing, and I look forward to making some more videos, man. So you take care, and everybody out there, keep it cool. Don't get in trouble and don't go to prison. That's my message, number one.